So recently I had a good friend call me and say, hey man, do you have a minute to talk through something? Because I need to determine if how I'm feeling and how I'm thinking are accurate, or if I'm overthinking or I'm overfeeling something and I just need to dial this thing back. And I thought that was brilliant because all the time I'm talking with couples who feel an emotion and decide the emotion is reality and they begin to run with it. But the reality is that feelings can be tricky. So in thinking about how our emotions will actually impact our relationships, I thought it might be good to identify some scenarios that I've seen when you absolutely should not trust your emotions. And then I'm going to talk about how best to evaluate when you can trust your emotions and when you can't. That's what we're going to talk about today on RelationShots. Hey, welcome to RelationShots. If this is your first time hanging out with us, don't forget to download your free guide to intimacy. You will see a link in the description area below. That'll walk you through 4 areas of intimacy in your relationship: emotional, physical, spiritual, recreational, and give you some practical tips on how you can increase connection starting today. If you need a place to grow and strengthen your marriage, I'd consider it an honor if you checked out our online marriage membership community. You can see some links below for that as well. And if you use the code YouTube for a coupon with the monthly at checkout, you'll get 40% off, where you can come in, check it out, and see if this is a place where you can grow and strengthen your marriage. All right, let's talk emotions. All right, so emotions are real and they're an important part of the relationship, but they can also skew facts and reality, right? And lead to irrational reactions and faulty decision making. And if I can go just a little bit psychological on you real quick, in the field of psychology, the essence of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, comes from the theory that how we think determines how we feel and how we behave. And if we're not feeling or behaving right, we need to go back and rethink some things. Let me make it practical for you. If I mistakenly think that a situation is dangerous, the anxiety and panic I feel will be real, but is not actually based in reality, right? If I irrationally perceive a situation to be hopeless, like my marriage, although there are few options that could help and remedy my situation, the depression that I'm feeling is still real, but it's illogical because it's not actually based in truth. And what I see happening over and over and over again in relationships, and ultimately in our cultural context today as well, whether that's political, whether that's religious, whether it's all the different areas we disagree with one another in, what I'm seeing is that emotions that are not based on reality are driving our decision making because we think it's real. So I could go on and on with examples like I just gave you, but you probably get the point. Here's the idea. The emotions that we feel may be real, but are damaging in our relationship if they're based on something that isn't true or helpful. Here's the idea. Our emotions may be real feelings, but we should not trust those emotions at times in our relationship, and we need to know when, why, and how that is. So I want to identify 3 scenarios in which I believe that you should absolutely not trust your emotions. Then I'm going to give you a little 3-step process in how you can evaluate your emotions for trustworthiness. So let me give you the 3 scenarios. Here are 3 scenarios when I believe you should not trust your emotions. Number 1 is when they are tied to areas of emptiness. So when they are tied to areas of emptiness or lack in your life, you probably shouldn't trust them, right? If you feel a lack in any area of your life, you're going to be more susceptible to an emotional response tied to the areas of emptiness. You're going to be willing to compromise values in these areas. You will be willing to overlook red flags in these areas. You will settle in these areas. You will assume that the relationship that you're in is better than it actually is because it fills your lack. So in the dating process, if you're lacking something, some of the emotions you may feel towards a significant other are probably not healthy for you, right? You will require other areas of the relationship that are important on behalf of getting these met, right? So what'll happen is other areas that you really should need in a relationship, you'll overlook those because this area of lack is getting filled, and this is the most important thing, and this is evoking emotions. If you're married, what this means is that your areas of lack will give you a heightened sensitivity to something, which may cause you to overreact in an area simply because you are empty and lacking in that area. A second area I believe you should not trust your emotions in are when they are tied to areas of woundedness. An unhealed area of woundedness is going to produce irrational emotions when that area gets touched, right? You'll always be more sensitive in these areas. You will fight harder to protect and guard these areas. You will react more severely in these areas. You will struggle to manage your emotions when they are tied to your wounds. So we've got to understand, one, do you even know what your areas of woundedness are? If you don't, then you won't know which feelings or emotions may be tied to that kind of stuff. So we need to know what are the things where we're ultimately sensitive. You may have heard the phrase, if it's hysterical, it's historical. That's this whole idea. If I'm having an over-exaggerated response, if I'm having over-exaggerated emotions and feelings around something, that's probably a good indicator that it is tied to some area of trauma or woundedness in my life, and I probably shouldn't trust the reality of that emotion. It may not be as big as what I'm feeling it is if it is tied to an area of woundedness. We need to evaluate that. And the third time I think you should not trust your emotions are when they are tied to areas of comparison or envy. And in the age of social media, this is all day, every day, right? If you begin to measure yourself against others based on their social media feed, it's going to breed feelings that don't reflect your actual reality, but rather somebody else's highlight reel, right? Because what you see from the outside is not necessarily what is going on in the inside, because people are not sharing that aspect. So if you've got big feelings, big emotions that are tied to some comparison or some envy, I would challenge you not to trust those emotions because they're probably not accurate. That's it. And I could give you a bonus. I would, if I wanted to add some bonuses to these three, I'd say also, when you're tired, don't trust them. When you're hungry, don't trust them. When you're grieving, don't trust them, because those things are going to impact the truthfulness of our emotions as well. So the three areas again, and then I'm going to give you what to do about it. The three areas are, if it's tied to some area of emptiness, don't trust them. If it's tied to some area of woundedness, do not trust them. If it's tied to some area of comparison or envy, do not trust them. Then the question is, how do we determine when we should trust our emotions? And I've got a quick little formula for you. It's a 3-step formula. It's called label it, link it, and coach it. Let's talk about this. Number 1, label it. You need to sit with your feeling and emotions enough to think it through. That's why I appreciated my friend calling me and going, I've been sitting on this. It's a big feeling. It's a strong feeling. I don't know if I should have a conversation about this. I don't know if I'm overreacting about this. He was willing to label what he was feeling and then sit with it and think it through. And he wanted to think it through with me. And so we talked through it for about 30 minutes. But you need to name the feeling or feelings, keeping in mind that many intense feelings are made up of several different feelings together. So what is going on in my life currently that is causing me to feel this way? What is the feeling I'm feeling? It may be something that looms large in my life. It could be something that seems trivial, but I need to figure out as best I can, what is that feeling? Can I label that feeling? Can I name that feeling? Number 2, we need to link it. That means I need to think back in my life. Have you had this feeling? Have you had a mixture of feelings like this sometime in the past? If so, what caused it then? Could some of those old emotions be reactivated by what's happening now and are attaching themselves to my current situation, which is why I'm feeling such big emotions, because it's not just this situation, It's also something from the past that is being linked to the current and causing an exaggerated emotion that is not actually reality. Number 3, I need to coach it. So imagine this. Imagine that a friend is telling you the story you're telling yourself, and you're on the outside listening to your friend. It happened to them. They said, I feel this certain way. What would you tell your friend? How would you coach them? If your feelings and emotions were not involved, how would you coach your friend? What would you tell them? Would you perceive that your friend's feelings are off, excessive, wrong? Right? This is a time where you got to take yourself out of your situation, put yourself in someone else's shoes, as if you're listening in on the conversation you're having in your head to determine, would I coach myself or would I coach my friend on what they should do based on these feelings, or do I think maybe it's excessive? So you need to label it, you need to link it. Is this tied to something in the past? And then you need to coach it. Only then will you know if you are able to look from the outside. And I would even add a 4th step, which is what my friend did, which is go ask someone else you trust to help you coach it, right? So label it, link it, coach it yourself, and then ask for some outside input to help you coach it before you begin to trust your emotions. So those are 3 scenarios that I believe that you just should not trust your emotions in the moment. You should challenge them, you should question them, you should coach them, and you should figure out if this is really something that is useful, that is tied to reality, or are these just emotions that are not going to serve me well? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on those specific 3 areas, your emptiness, your woundedness, and comparison, if you have fallen into that trap and have allowed your emotions to cause you to make decisions, have conflict, have conversations that were unnecessary, and later on you regretted doing it. Drop a comment. Let's talk about it. How do you label, link, and coach yourself so you can trust your emotions? Drop a comment. Let's talk about it. And until next time, I'll see you right back here on RelationShots.